Welcome to Unlocked, the home of common sense that speaks Britain's language with me, Martin Daubney. 2 weeks ago today, on Unlocked, on the day the Education Secretary Gavin Williamson closed every school in Britain, we ran a powerful and hugely emotive episode called Unlock the Schools. In that show, we pleaded with Mr. Williamson, the entire government that backed him, point-scoring politicians like Sadiq Khan, and the school unions to park their petty differences and, at this critical time in British history, to put the most important people in Britain first, our children. We implored them to listen to medical data from the BMJ that shows that just 7 British children have died of COVID since the beginning of the pandemic, and all of those children had severe underlying health conditions. We pleaded with them to drop the baseless rhetoric that teachers are in grave danger of COVID when ONS evidence shows that they are no more at risk than any other public worker. On our show, the leader of the Reclaim Party, Lawrence Fox, broke down in tears as he told us how the lockdown was affecting his eldest son, who has special needs.
My eldest son has serious special educational needs, and it's affected him so much. So I'm furious with the government. I don't think our children deserve this, and I think they're doing it for political reasons. Actually, sorry to be emotional.
Don't be.
But I think they're doing it for political reasons. I don't think they're doing it for the sake of our children. And I think on principle, our children deserve an education. They deserve it. It's our duty to provide it for them. At any cost, it's our duty to provide it to them. And what's happening is essentially we're taking out the liver of a young, healthy child and giving it to an old person or a vulnerable person. You're really severely reducing these kids' opportunities at even understanding what proper peer relationships are like. Are they going to know what school was for at some point? Can you remember how slow and amazing life was? How much it affected you when you were young. So I think the government are a disgrace.
Our show was picked up by the Daily Mail, and Unlock kick-started a huge national conversation that showed our children first approach chimed with public mood. We were inundated with your videos and messages from concerned parents, many of whom spoke movingly of the negative effects of lockdown both on their children and themselves as they struggled to juggle work and homeschooling. Isabella from Birmingham sent us this amazing picture. It reads, "We should be free. Help us. I don't like Parliament." Well, you're not alone, Isabella, because that was the precise message that we ran. Her dad, Stu, said it would cheer her up no end to get on Unlocked, and she won't believe it. Keep up the good fight. Well, you better believe it, Isabella, because you've made it on the show, because you're not alone. In an Unlocked Twitter poll that has so far attracted over 14,000 votes, 69% of you agreed it's time to unlock the schools. This is affecting every parent in Britain. Today, it affected me. My wife is a TA. As a key worker pupil, my daughter, Dolly, age 6, is allowed to go back to school. Walking into school to her is a magic moment. She returns from school bright, full of optimism at having seen her friends. My boy, Sonny, 11, meanwhile, as his mum is downstairs doing Google Classroom to the most disadvantaged kids in the school, many of whom have special needs, learning difficulties, or autism, struggles on. Sonny is crying and upset that the internet isn't working again. He's losing all of his homework and he's terrified of getting detention and he can't meet his friends. It's really, really hard for everyone. I want to bring in now my first guest, Victoria from Us For Them. Us For Them we've had on Unlocked several times now. They're a campaign group that is campaigning hard to get our kids back into school. Vic, let's talk to you about your own situation. How are you coping?
It's a daily struggle. It's chaotic. I've got two children who are of two different ages in two different year groups. My daughter is almost 9. My son is in reception, so he's just coming up 5. And I'm trying to teach two of them on one laptop. They're both of different abilities. They both want my attention. I feel like I'm splitting myself in two, and that neither one of them is getting the quality education that I think they both deserve. I feel guilt, just pure guilt all of the time that I'm failing them.
I mean, I can see the emotion, in your eyes. Don't worry about it. I feel exactly the same, darling.
It's heartbreaking.
What is it about this government that seems so unable to deal with the evidence in front of it? And why are they so terrified of reopening the schools when you and I know it's the best thing for kids?
It absolutely is the best thing for children. I mean, we're very fortunate. We've got a laptop and a printer, and the kids have got space to work. But so many children haven't even got that. They haven't got access to technology. And we're now in an environment where we're in 4 walls looking at a screen for 6-7 hours a day. It's not healthy. It's not healthy for children. It's not healthy for families to be in that environment all of the time. They want to be at school. I mean, like your children, my two want to be at school. They want to be with their friends in that social environment, because it's not, and they've been living through a year's worth of restrictions, haven't they?
Yeah, and do you know what, Vicky? It's also worth bearing in mind when we look at countries more enlightened than our own that are currently open: France, Spain, Sweden, Italy, Greece, Portugal, Norway, Belarus, Hungary. They're all open for business. Why the hell aren't we?
I don't know. I mean, schools have obviously gone through the process of making themselves COVID secure in terms of what the government wanted. That was the criteria for them to open to all children in September. Yet here we are again with the schools closed. I mean, it's heartbreaking for me to have to tell my two children that they couldn't go back to school after Christmas, that the one thing they'd been given back was now being taken away again. It's devastating, absolutely devastating.
I think what's beginning to cut through now, Vic, is the data, the evidence. Everyone's like, yeah, whatever. Everyone's so terrified of staying in their bunkers. It's not working. But what's really starting to resonate now, I think, are the human stories.
Yeah.
There's an absolutely heartbreaking passage I'd just like to read out to you here. And then hopefully that will lead on to you talking to us a bit about your own situation. It's really hard to read this. It was in the Sunday Times. When Rekha Begum's 7-year-old son, Musa, showed her what he had written on the hope tree, he was asked to draw for school. She cried, "A house." He'd written a house. "I felt so bad," she said. Begum, 40, who is disabled, lives with her 4 children, aged from 7 to 21, in a cramped second-floor flat on a council estate in Tower Hamlets, East London, one of the most deprived and COVID-infected parts of Britain. From the end of the street, past a patch of grass littered with discarded syringes where Musa once picked up a condom. The gleaming glass towers of Canary Wharf, the headquarters of leading banks and finance companies, can be seen on the horizon. It seems a world away. Isn't that a perfect metaphor for where we are? The haves and the have-nots, the isolated and the privileged. I
mean, we're so fortunate. I'm acutely aware of how fortunate we are and how lucky my children are. But there's so many children that are not in that position, and there needs to be a wider discussion about that. I mean, my daughter came down yesterday evening and said to me, "Mum, like, when is something going to happen?" And I don't know how to answer her. I can't make that right for her as a mother and a parent. I can't say, well, actually, you'll be going back to school in 2 weeks. It's going to be okay. You'll be back where you want to be. I can't give her that guarantee. And none of us can we, as parents at this point in time? We can't give the children what they want. And
what's that doing to you, Vicky?
I just feel guilt all the time. Like, I'm failing them. And on paper for us, in our situation, it should work. You know, I'm at home with them, but it doesn't. There's something that's lacking. You can't substitute the school experience on a screen. I can't, you know, sitting in front of this for 6 hours a day is not the same as them running around in the playground with their friends. I can't give them that. I can't give them that complete school experience from home. Home and school are very different, aren't they? It's a different they have a different relationship to me, to the one that has with their teachers. It's heartbreaking to not be able to give them what they want anymore.
Yeah, you know, and it's so incredible when you think about what we've been saying on Unlocked, and I know you guys have, Us for Them, since the very beginning. The disparity, the gap between the haves and the have-nots is growing and growing and growing. No, there's a report out this week. It was in Sky News from the Social Mobility Foundation. Vicky has warned that school closures could wipe out a decade of progress, 10 years of progress down the pan because of these lockdowns. And worryingly, 2/3 of children said that shutting schools has negatively impacted upon their mental health. How does that resonate with you?
It massively does. I've got my eldest she's a girl. She's very social. She's normally very well adjusted, a happy child. I see the sadness in her eyes. I'm trying to manage that. I don't know how to make that okay. My youngest, you know, not so much. He's only been in school a short time, but they've had their sort of security in their routine just ripped away from them again. When they've only had that, they was only in school 12 weeks before this started again. It's heartbreaking for me because I can't make it right, and I don't know how to make it right.
Well, one thing that we've been really keen to do since the beginning on the last show, and we're asking again for this, we've asked for videos from parents. Send in your moving stories because we want to get this message shared wide. When we first did this show, Natalie from Unlocked, who's member 3, did a trailer. It had 141,000 views on Twitter alone. And Natalie has recorded another video for us today. We're going to play that in now.
Hello, I'm Natalie again, and as you may have seen from my previous video, I'm a mum of 3. I'm supporting Unlocked's campaign with Us for Them to open the schools on February the 18th. And the reason being is, as a mum and as a parent, to sit by and see what we are doing to our children is absolutely beyond heartbreaking. We are holding back a generation from mixing with their peers, from having fun, from skipping in a playground, from playing football with your mates, from a sports day, from an Easter bonnet, from a harvest festival. We've missed out on nativities. Their children have missed out on memories. And how it makes you feel as a mum and a dad is absolutely, utterly powerless. This is a decision that the children don't understand. It's a decision that I think a lot of us don't really understand. And we have to work together now to put our children first. We have to say enough is enough. We have to reopen the schools on February the 18th. This cannot continue. This is not something that can be pushed down the road any further. We are depriving our children of human contact. Learning, sitting in front of a screen all day on Zoom is not being at school. And my other concern would be for vulnerable children who are being failed even more than before, and maybe will never catch up emotionally and educationally, if that's the right word. So please, please, please get behind our campaign to unlock the schools. Support us for them. On February the 18th, we can all skip together to school, do our school run and get our kids back to school. Thank you.
So Vicky, another moving testament from Natalie there. I'm sure there'll be many, many more. But looking forward, Vicky, as a positive point of action, what are you and the guys at Us for Them asking to happen next?
I think what we can't accept and won't accept is that children's future has just been cast aside, like it doesn't matter, like that's time they're just going to make up somewhere else. And for a lot of these children, that's not going to happen. And you don't get a second chance at being a child. And don't deprive our children of that for a moment longer. The schools need to reopen after half-term.
Okay, and what date is that, Vicky? What date is that they should be reopening?
Schools should be back on the 22nd of February.
The 22nd of February, the schools to reopen. And how can the public get involved to support your campaign, Vicky?
Just come along and check us out at www.usforthem.co.uk, and we've also got Facebook groups that you can join, and come and support us. Come and be the voice for your children.
And also come along to Unlocked. Support us on social media, on Twitter at Unlocked_UK_. On Facebook, we are at Unlocked United Kingdom. Send us your messages, write to your MPs, keep going. We've got to keep up the pressure. It's vital that we get back. Use the hashtag Unlock the Schools. Get this one going. We're going to push it hard and we won't stop until we unlock those schools. Vicky, thank you so much for tuning in today. Thanks to all you guys out there. Thanks for tuning in to